Hello learners, welcome to the session on basics of meat and meat products. This is a part of your MOOC on food fundamentals and chemistry. In the previous lectures, you have become familiar with the foods of plant origin, and in this session you will be introduced to the foods of animal origin. You know the foods we get from the animal origin are milk, meat, eggs, fish and other seafoods. And all these are concentrated sources of protein, fat, vitamins and minerals. As they are rich in protein, they are known as bodybuilding food. As they are rich in vitamins and minerals, they are called as protective food. So all these food greatly contribute to human growth, development and health, especially immunity of the consumers. So all these animal proteins contain all the essential amino acids we need. So these are of high quality protein and considered as superior protein than that from the plant origin. So today our focus will be to discuss one of such animal origin food which is very rich in protein, vitamins and minerals, and our product is today the meat and their products. So in this session you will learn to define meat, state the sources of various meats, discuss meat production status, explain the composition and nutritive value of meat, describe hygienic production of meat and meat products, identify the critical points of possible contamination during handling and processing. You will also be able to classify meat products based on processing and describe some of the meat products. So to achieve all these objectives, first you need to know what is meant by meat. So meat is the edible component obtained from the slaughter of live animals. While nearly every species of animal can be used as meat, the majority of the meat consumed by humans comes from the domestic animals like cattle, buffalo, sheep, goat, pigs, and also poultry. It also includes flesh of some unconventional food animals like camel, yak, mithun, rabbit, etc. Meat is basically composed of muscle. It also contains some associated connective tissues, fat, and sometimes it also contains bone. The skeletal muscle that makes the major part of the meat, but meat also includes some smooth muscles which are present in the gastrointestinal tract and the cardiac muscles of the animals and birds. So sometimes meat also include the organs or all the edible portions other than the muscle which we get from the slaughterhouse as a byproduct of the slaughterhouse. And these organs are like heart, liver, kidney, tongue, brain, thymus, pancreas glands, the tribe that is the part of the stomach of the ruminants, and the esophagus. This comes from the slaughterhouse and we can consume as food or meat. So apart from these muscle, two types of connective tissue, especially the elastin and collagen, that also form a part of meat. Those are present in the muscle or the muscle fiber. Apart from this, fat is also present in the meat. Fat can be present in between the muscle and that is known as the intermuscular fat. Fat can also be present within the muscle which is known as the intramuscular fat. Intramuscular fat is otherwise also known as marbling, and marbling is a desired character for those who are seeking for juicy, tender and flavorful meat. Now we'll see what are the sources of meat. We get the meat from the different species animal and the name of the meat also varies with the species of the animal. For example, the meat we get from the adult cattle is known as beef. Meat from the young cattle is known as veal. The buffalo meat is known as carabeef or wuffen. Goat meat is called as shaven. Sheep meat which get from the adult animal is known as mutton, and if we are using the young sheep for the meat production, the meat is known as lamb. The pig produces the meat which is named as pork. We can also get meat from the camel, yak and mithun. And all these meat are known as red meat because these are comparatively red in color because they contain higher amount of muscle pigment or meat pigment that is known as myoglobin. Then there is another category which is known as white meat. So white meat, because these contain less quantity of myoglobin, that's why white in color, and we get this white meat from different poultry birds like the chicken, duck, turkey, quail, pigeon, guinea fowl and goose, and the name of this meat are named after by the bird's name. You also get white meat from rabbit. So now we'll have a quick look at the meat production status. First we'll see the world scenario, then we'll discuss the Indian scenario. As per the statistics available from Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO Statistics 2023, we can say that the production of meat the world in the year 2021 was around 357 million tons. And that is almost 53% increase than that from the year 2000. So in last 20 to 21 years, there is 53% increase in the total meat production worldwide. And if you see the share of the different species, you can see that the chicken meat was the most produced type, followed by the pig meat. Now we'll see the production status in India. As per the basic animal husbandry statistics, total meat production in India was 9.22 million tons in the year 2021-22, and it was 9.77 million tons in 2022-23. So there was an annual growth rate of more than 5%. In 2022, India accounted for 2.18% of global meat production, and India ranks 6th after China, USA, Brazil, Russia and Germany. So the per capita availability of meat in India is 6.82 kg meat per year during the year 2021-22, and from this pie chart you can see that the major contribution of the meat production is from the poultry sector. It is almost 50% of India's total meat production, and it is followed by the meat produced by buffalo, goat, sheep, pig and cattle. So now we'll try to understand the chemical composition of different species meat. You know that the chemical composition of different meats varies with the species of the animals, also with the age of the animals and the management systems followed for rearing the animals and the birds. So in this table you can see that all the meat, the beef, chicken, mutton, pork, shaven, the protein percentage ranges from 17 to 23%, and you can see the highest protein content is in chicken, that is around 20 to 23%. And if you see the moisture content, chicken contains 74 to 76% moisture, and the fat in chicken is very less, this is about 1.5 to 3%. And the highest quantity of fat is present in mutton, that is 8 to 9%. Rest of the meat contains fat around 4 to 6%. If you see the mineral content of different species meat, you will see that ash percentage is around 1%. Besides these, meat also contains little amount of carbohydrate in the form of glycogen. So that is only 1% of carbohydrate is present in meat, and meat also contains good quantity of vitamins. So as you see that the meat is a good source of protein. So there are 3 different categories of protein present in meat. One is myofibrillar protein, sarcoplasmic proteins and stromal protein. So what are myofibrillar proteins? The proteins which are present in the fibrillar structure, myofibrillar structure, muscle fiber structure, that is known as myofibrillar proteins, and that actually contain the major protein. And the major protein present in myofibrillar part is the myosin and the actin. Others are troponin, tropomyosin, alpha-actinin, beta-actinin, etc. Sarcoplasmic proteins includes the muscle pigment, that is myoglobin, and some enzymes, and the stromal proteins are present in the connective tissue, and these are also known as connective tissue proteins. Examples of these stromal proteins are collagen, elastin and reticulin. As we know that meat is also a good source of fat, if you see the composition of meat fat, you will see that mostly the neutral lipids and phospholipids, and neutral lipids are triglyceride in nature. If you analyze the fatty acid composition of meat, then you will see that fatty acids are mostly saturated fatty acids like palmitic acid, stearic acid, and also contain mono and unsaturated fatty acids and little bit of polyunsaturated fatty acids. So examples of unsaturated fatty acids which are present in meat are oleic acid, linoleic acid, linolenic acid, and meat also contain little amount of cholesterol. Once you know the chemical composition, it is very easy to understand the nutritive value of meat. So meat is among the most nutrient dense food sources. It is an important source of energy as it contains protein and fat. So approximately 145 to 150 calories of energy we get from 100 grams of red meat, and 125 calories of energy we get from 100 grams of chicken. Meat also provides a variety of essential nutrients. It contains high quality protein which have all the essential amino acids like the lysine, leucine, isoleucine, valine, tryptophan, methionine, etc. That's why meat is called as complete protein. Biological value of meat is also very high, it's around 80. Meat is a rich source of micronutrients like minerals and vitamins. So it is a good source of readily bioavailable iron because it contains heme iron part. It is also a good source of zinc, copper, selenium, manganese, etc. Meat is also rich in vitamins, especially the B complex vitamins like thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, B6, B12 and folic acid. As we said that meat contains good amount of fat, so meat contains 40% saturated fatty acids, 50% monounsaturated fatty acids and 5% polyunsaturated fatty acids. The saturated fatty acids are of health concern, but at the same time it is also a source of conjugated linoleic acid which is good for health. It also provides some bioactive compounds like taurine, carnitine, carnosine, glutathione, anserine, etc., which have the good physiological function. So now we know the chemical composition and the nutritive value of meat. We know that meat is highly nutritious food. So how we get this highly nutritious food from the slaughter and dressing of the food animals? Broadly, the slaughter methods are of two types. One is ritual slaughter, another one is human slaughter. Ritual slaughter is done as per the religious methods. For example, Muslim community follow halal method, Jewish people follow kosher method, Sikh people follow the jhatka method of slaughter. So these are ritual slaughters. There is another category that is human slaughter. That means when the animal is made unconscious by a method known as stunning before slaughter, just to ensure that the animals feel less pain during the slaughter. To avoid the cruelty, we should follow the stunning procedure. And stunning can be done either by using mechanical force, using some chemicals, or by electrical. And it has to be kept in mind that the actual slaughtering should be kept out of the sight of another animals. So now in this flowchart, you can see the steps which are involved in the slaughter and dressing of goat, sheep and buffalo. So it starts with the ante-mortem inspection. That means when the veterinary doctor inspect the animals to ensure that only the healthy, disease-free animals are passed for slaughter. Then it goes for stunning, and then the blood vessels of the animals are cut for bleeding, which ensures the killing of the animals. The next step is the removal of the skin or the hide of the animal, which is also known as dehiding or flaying or skinning. Then all the visceral organs like GI tract, liver, lung, heart, etc. are removed from the dead animal body, and this is called as evisceration. The dead animal body is known as carcass, so the carcass is then washed, and again the veterinary doctor inspect the carcass and the organs to ensure that the meat which is passed for human consumption is free from any kind of disease or abnormality. Then the carcass goes for chilling to less than 7 degrees centigrade. Then it is either cut into small cuts, packaged, stored or transported. Now we'll see the flowchart for the slaughter and dressing of pig. All the steps are almost same as I discussed for the cattle, buffalo, sheep and goat. Only difference is that in case of pig carcass, we don't remove the skin of the pig. Skin is included with the meat. So to remove the hair, there is a special step which is known as scalding. After ante-mortem inspection, stunning and bleeding, the pig carcass is placed in the scalding tank for loosening the hair follicles. Scalding is done at 60 to 64 degrees centigrade for a few minutes. Then the loosened hair are removed by dehairing or singeing, and the carcass is washed. Then followed the same steps like evisceration, carcass washing, post-mortem inspection, chilling, etc. Now you will see the slaughter and dressing steps involved in the poultry processing, how we get the meat from the poultry birds. Here also the steps are almost same like the sheep, goat or the pig. Only difference is that we need to remove the feather of the birds. So after the ante-mortem examination, stunning and bleeding, the birds are placed in the scalding vat for scalding to loosen the feathers of the birds. Then the feathers are removed by picking or singeing. Then there is another step which is for removal of head, oil gland and feet. Then the steps of eviscerations, washing, post-mortem examination, chilling and cutting are followed. So immediately after the slaughter of the animal, the muscle is not converted into meat. Muscle needs some time. It goes through some biochemical and the physical changes which makes the muscle to meat. So now we will see the steps which involved in conversion of muscle to meat. Immediately after slaughter of the animal, there will be no blood supply or oxygen supply to the tissue or the brain. There will be loss of nervous control, loss of temperature regulation, loss of homeostasis, and all these will lead to the absence of energy supply in the muscle, which helps in actually contraction and relaxation of the muscle. So as there is no energy supply in the muscle, so the muscle will become stiff. Muscle will not relaxed anymore. So this condition is known as rigor mortis. Rigor mortis means the stiffening of the muscle after death of the animal. So muscle becomes stiff. At the same time, there will also be depletion of the glycogen storage in the muscle. There is only around 1% of glycogen present, which is used for the supply of energy for some times in the muscle. And as there is no oxygen supply, it will go through the anaerobic respiration and the glycogen will produce the lactic acid which will be accumulated in the muscle, and that will leads to the post-mortem pH decline. Normally the pH of the live animal's muscle is around 7 and it will come down to 5.4 to 5.5 within 24 hours of slaughter. After some time, the rigor will be resolved and the muscle will go through the aging or conditioning process, when the muscle will again become soft due to degradation of muscle structure by proteolytic enzymes. And as a result, there will be increase in the tenderness, juiciness, color and other sensory qualities of the meat. So now the meat is ready either for storage, transportation and sale as fresh meat, or it is also ready for further processing. By further processing, we can produce different delicious meat products. So nowadays, you can see that there is huge demand for different types of convenience foods, ready to cook food, ready to eat food. And this is also true for the meat products. So people are also looking for ready to eat, ready to cook meat products. So that's why you need to process the meat. So now we'll see what are the purposes of meat processing. Primarily, meat processing is done for value addition of meat, to provide the variety and convenience to the consumers. Processing also extends the shelf life of the meat products. It improves the sensory qualities of meat products. It also helps for better utilization of low value meat cuts and meat byproducts. It facilitates an incorporation of non-meat ingredients or the meat additives during processing of the products. It leads to the better profit, better marketing and distributions. And as you know that there is a requirement of human resource for doing all these activities, so definitely meat processing will lead to generation of the employment in the meat sector. For meat processing, there are some basic steps involved. We'll have a quick look at these basic steps, which includes grinding, mincing, chopping, flaking, dicing, cubing, protein extraction, emulsion preparation, mixing of meat with various additives, massaging, tumbling, stuffing, salting, curing, drying, freezing, thermal processing like cooking, canning, smoking, restructuring, fermentation, coating and pickling. And based on this processing, we can classify the meat products in different groups like the dried meat products, frozen meat products, cured meat products, smoked meat product, canned meat product, comminuted meat product, emulsion type meat products, fermented meat product, enrobed or coated meat products, restructured meat products. Due to paucity of the time, we will not be able to describe all these products in detail, but we will try to have a brief discussion on some of the meat products. So let's start with the canned meats. Canned meats are thermally processed in a sealed container at 121 degrees centigrade temperature, 15-pound pressure for some time to sterilize the meat. So this is a sterilized product and canned meat can be kept in the room temperature for a long time if we don't open the can. Examples of canned meat are like ham, the corned beef, beef stews, etc. Then is the frozen meats, which can be prepared either from the cooked or the raw meat. Generally, meats are quick frozen at minus 20 degrees centigrade to minus 40 degrees centigrade by blast freezing and vacuum packaged to prevent rancidity. Example of frozen meats are frozen meat loaf, breaded pork, beef cutlet, pork sausage, meatball, etc. Then comes the dried meat. You know, drying is an old process to keep meat at room temperature for longer time. And we can go for either sun drying or hot air drying for preparation of the dried meat. The examples include the jerky and biltong. Biltong is a popular dried beef item from the South Africa. A dried meat is also more smoked to impart the flavor and to increase the shelf life. Now another category is cured meat products. So meat is cured with using some curing ingredients like salt and nitrate or nitrate of sodium, and also some curing adjuncts are used like ascorbates, erythrorbates, tocopherol, sugar and polyphosphates, which are added either by injection or by dry rubbing or by immersing pickle. So this will help to preserve and get the desirable color and flavor of the cured meat product. Example of cured meats are ham, bacon, corned beef. Generally ham is prepared from the pork thigh. It is also prepared from the leg part of the poultry butts. And general bacon is prepared from the pork bellies. Cured products are also smoked, and ham slices and bacon must be cooked to ensure destruction of possible microorganisms before consumption. Next meat type is the comminuted and emulsified products. So, comminuted means minced meat. Minced meat is used to prepare products like keema, kofta, etc. Minced meat can be used for meat emulsion preparation, which is further used to prepare sausage, meatballs, patties, etc. So, sausage is an emulsified meat product. After mincing and adding the meat additives, emulsion is prepared. Then the emulsion is stuffed in a casing. Casing can be of natural type, which is made from the animal intestine or animal body parts, and can also be a synthetic casing, which is made from the fibers and the plastic. Sausage may be marketed as fresh sausage, cooked sausage, smoked sausage, semi-dry, dry or fermented sausage. Popular sausages available in the market include frankfurter, salami, pepperoni, cocktail sausage, etc. Now we'll see the enrobed or coated meat products. So there are three basic steps involved in the processing of the enrobed products. First is the pre-dusting, when a finely ground flour and seasoning mixture applied to the meat cuts on the minced meat. Then next step is battering, when the pre-dusted meat is dipped into batter, and the last stage is the breading, that is again this meat is coated with breadcrumbs. Then the breaded meat can be fried. So many of these are considered as finger foods or appetizer. An example of enrobed or coated meat products are chicken lollipop, meat cutlet, nuggets, etc. Now we'll see the fermented meat products. So from the name itself you can guess that the product is prepared by the process of fermentation. So for fermentation you can use selected starter cultures, for example lactobacillus, pediococcus, leptococcus, micrococcus, etc., which are added to the minced meat and then kept at specific temperature and humidity for specific periods. So during fermentation, the bacteria grow utilizing sugar and produce lactic acid, which decreases the pH of the products. So then the product is dried to specific moisture and cooked and or smoked. So low moisture content, low water activity and low pH prevent the spoilage of the fermented products. Examples of fermented meat products are fermented sausages. Another category of meat product is a restructured meat product. Again, from the name you can have that idea that first the meat cuts are partly or completely disassembled and then reformed into give a shape like the sticks or the cubes or the slices or the blocks. There are three basic procedures involved for restructured meat product preparation. The first is the chunking and forming, second is the flaking and forming, third is the sectioning and forming. And the examples of restructured meat products are restructured meat sticks, cubes, slices, etc. To name few traditional Indian meat products like the kebab, gustaba, korma, kofta, meat pickle, chicken tandoori, meat rolls, which are popular throughout the country. Meat can also be used for preparation of some of the functional meat products. Functional meat products are with potential health benefits by increasing or introducing bioactive properties. Meat-based bioactive peptides such as carnosine, anserine, L-carnitine, taurine, glutathione, creatine and conjugated linoleic acids are found to have nutraceutical effects. So while we discussed the production of meat from the meat animals or processing of meat into different meat products, you can imagine There are so many sources of contamination when the meat is exposed to physical, chemical, harmful chemicals or the microbial hazards exposure. So now we'll see the sources of contamination during the handling and processing of meat. The first thing is the meat itself. Meat can also contain some harmful chemicals or the microbes, because if the animal we used for the meat production is diseased, not healthy, if it contains infection, that will come to the meat. If the muscle of the animals contains some residues of veterinary drugs or crop contaminants, that will also come to the meat. Then next is the meat additives or non-meat ingredients which are used for the meat product preparation. If we use that beyond the permissible limit, that can also be a hazard. If these additives contain contamination, that also come to meat. And next is the processing equipments we use for the processing and production of the meat, the contact surfaces, and the food handlers can also be a great source of contamination, because the people who are handling food, handling meat, if they are having contamination, they may also transmit the same contamination to the meat. The contamination also can come from the packaging materials used for the meat and meat products. It can also come from the water we use for the washing and preparation of the different products, and also come from the environment as from air. So next important question is, if the meat is contaminated, then what to do? How can we ensure the production of the hygienic and safe meat and meat products? So first thing we have to remember that meat is highly perishable and it is exposed to various physical, chemical and microbiological hazards. So we need to take care of all these hazards throughout the food processing chain to ensure the safe and hygienic production. The first step is the ante-mortem inspection of the animals before slaughter. That ensures the disease-free meat. Then the post-mortem inspection. Then we should use only the healthy animals for meat production. And throughout the production and processing chain, we should follow the good practices like good hygienic practice, good manufacturing practice, which includes the use of good raw materials, safe raw materials, permitted additives, drinking water, adequate processing, good storage, packaging, transport, cleaning, sanitation, waste disposal, and most important, the personal hygiene of the employees who are handling the food. We have to follow all this for ensuring the quality. And for the meat industry, it is of great use if they can follow the principles of HACCP, that is Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point, to ensure the hygienic and safe production of meat and meat products. So now it is a time for summarizing what we learned today. Firstly, we discussed about the definition of the meat. So we know that generally edible flesh or organs of domestic animals and poultry are consumed as meat. 50% of meat is produced worldwide or in India from chicken. Meat is produced either by ritual method or human method of slaughter. After slaughter, muscle is converted into meat through a series of biochemical and physical changes. The meat we get from the slaughter and dressing of the animal is a highly nutritive value, and because it is rich in high quality protein which contains all the essential amino acids, it also contains good amount of vitamins, minerals and fat. So it is a bodybuilding and protective food. Then we also discussed some various popular traditional and exotic meat products which can be prepared using processing steps like mincing, emulsifying, curing, drying, canning, restructuring, fermentation, enrobing, smoking, fridging, etc. Some popular meat products are meat kofta, kebab, roll, patties, sausage, ham, bacon, meatball, canned meat, dried meat, nuggets, etc. Meat can be contaminated with physical, chemical and microbiological hazards from various sources, and at the end of the session we also discussed how we can produce the hygienic and wholesome product of meat and meat products by using but following the good practices like good manufacturing practice, good hygienic practice, HACCP, good transport practice, etc., which are to be followed by the meat industry throughout the value chain. So thank you for watching this video. I hope that you learned the basics of the meat and meat products and you will be able to answer the questions which will be shared with you at the end of this week.